guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy official first day of fall. Hopefully I get this video filmed or edited on time, that this is actually going up on September 21st, the first actual official day of fall. It has already started to feel like fall in Minnesota, but inevitably it's like starting to heat up again. Like this always happens. Like we can't ever make our mind up about like what we want the weather to actually be. But I'm sitting down next to my TBR cart. You can see this huge stack of books here, and I thought it would be fun just to share with you guys all of the like fall themed books, fall vibey books that I have on my TBR cart. I know I will not get to all of these books in the fall time, but at least it gives me a little bit of direction when I am trying to pick the books that I want to read and when I'm trying to pick the books for my monthly TBRs. So if you're interested in seeing all the books that I have on my fall TBR, stay tuned. First, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel and you like just chit-chatting about books, I hope you'll consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's get into the video. Okay guys, I'm just gonna start with that stack that was sitting up top. All of these, for the most part, with the exception of, I think my newest book in this stack is really good actually. The rest of these have been on, I've owned them for, I think I purchased this year, but the rest I think I've owned like since 2022. So maybe we can start with these two. So earlier this year, I read the first book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I purchased the second book and just have not picked it up yet. I feel like this will be a great book to read in the fall time as I'm trying to like read or squeeze in some like mystery thrillers. I am not like the biggest thriller advocate. Like I get too scared. So I feel like a YA mystery slash thriller will be like a better suited option to me. Plus, this should hopefully read pretty quickly. So hopefully I will get to this book this fall. And then I don't know why I'm putting this on my fall TBR. For some reason, I just feel like this book is like giving me, why does this happen? The sun like suddenly decides to come out. Okay, we'll put that down. Hopefully that's okay. For some reason, this is just giving me like fall energy, like cozy, like curled up on a couch with your blanket. That's the feeling I'm getting from this. So this is, if I didn't say, this is the book Really Good actually by Monica Heisey. And this is about Maggie, who I think recently broke up. She recently got divorced. And I think it's just basically a literary fiction about her post-divorce life. And it sounds like maybe there's a little bit of humor to it. And I'm currently going through a divorce. So things like this just kind of like speak to my soul. And I found them quite interesting. A hilarious and painfully relatable debut novel about one woman's messy search for joy and meaning in wake of an unexpected breakup, from comedian, essayist, and award-winning screenwriter Monica Heisey. Okay, so hopefully there'll be some comedy in this. Shoot, I'm kind of wanting to read this soon. Okay, that's also on the list. Okay, these three are all kind of giving like witchy vibes, but I also don't feel like super excited to read any of these. So I have the Lost I can never say this word, Apothecary. And this was like, this book I feel like was super trendy like way back in the day. It's like historical fiction. Is it considered historical? 18th century London. Women whisper of hidden apothecary shop and its mysterious owner Nella. She used to disguise poisons and use them against oppressive men in their lives. I don't know, I feel like this gives like good October vibes, so maybe we'll get around to that one. Although I meant to last year and I never did. Oh my gosh, I sprayed on like a hydrating like glowy mist and I feel like I look super glowy now. Okay, next up we have Cackle by Rachel, I think Harrison, the sticker's over it. I picked this off of a table last year from Barnes & Noble. And it was just, again, kind of giving like witchy vibes. It says Annie accepts a new teaching position and moves from Manhattan to a small village upstate. She's stunned by how perfect and picturesque the town is. But then she meets Sophie, and it sounds like Sophie might be a witch. I don't know that I feel super excited to read that. I also have the book Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. Again, purchased this off of a table last year. Just trying to pick up some like witchy books. I do really want to pick up, I can see the X-Hex. I want to pick that up, and I do want to read that in October. I don't know if I'll get to honestly any of these three, but they're going to be on the cart. They're going to be on the cart. If you've read any of these three, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And then I have these two. So I have Babel. Is it Babel or Babel? Dark Academia vibes, which also just give me the fall feelings. This is set in 1928. My fear is this is an extremely long book, over 500 pages. And I'm just fearing that like this is gonna take a lot of brain power for me to like absorb and digest. So this book is quite intimidating to me. But I've also heard so many great things about this book that I really am so curious. But I don't know if we'll get to that one either because that one intimidates me. And then I also have The Family Game by Catherine Stedman, just a thriller. And I want to try and read some thrillers. Like we want to get to some thrillers and have some fun with the genre. This is about, I think, about a girl who like is recently engaged, and then she meets her fiance's family, and there's like this game aspect, thriller aspect to it. Aren't I just the best at describing books? So we'll see. If you guys have read that one, let me know your thoughts. Speaking of thrillers, here are a few more. I have The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, which I've heard nothing but good things about this. I do want to read this one this October. It is about, there's a flight delay and a guy meets this girl, and he basically confesses his darkest secrets about his wife's infidelity and how he wishes her dead. Without missing a beat, Lily offers him help to carry out the task. Sounds really good and thrilling. Okay, then I have Death of a Dancing Queen, which I'm gonna read the back of. This sounds like such a fun book. So it says, saddled with bills and her mother's Alzheimer's diagnosis, Billy Levine runs a private investigation firm out of the corner booth of her favorite North Jersey deli, hoping the pickles and flexible hours will keep her family afloat. So when a rich kid with a nasty drug habit offers her a stack of cash to find his missing girlfriend, how can Billy refuse? But dollar signs become death threats when the missing persons case embroils Billy in the intense standoff between a Jewish mobster and a skinhead group. Toss in the unsolved murder of a cabaret dancer and the reappearance of Billy's ex-boyfriend with his own rap sheet, and she is regarding every decision that got her to that point. This sounds super fun. Like, this sounds really, really fun. So I do want to read that. And then I also have My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. And I believe this is about a husband and wife that, like, for date night, to like spice up their marriage, they like basically bring people home to kill them. I believe that's what this is about. Okay, a few more thriller slash mysteries. This is a recent pickup for me. This is More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez. This is set in 1985. So it's basically about this woman who leads two separate lives. She's married and has a family in, I believe, the United States, but then she has like either another husband or like someone she's dating that she goes back to like see in Mexico, and I think she like splits her time, but then one of them ends up getting murdered. And then in 2017, so quite a few years later, a true crime writer encounters an article detailing the murders. She becomes like super enticed by the story, so then she tracks down this woman and to like try and figure out more about the story and exposes the secrets, like figures out that there's more that meets the eye to the unsolved or the solved, I don't know, murder case. Really excited to read that one. I also have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I purchased this very recently. I wanted to read this last year but never got around to it. I've never read a Riley Sager book, so I feel like I definitely need to read one of his thrillers before the end of the year. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about that, so I won't even butcher the explanation of that. And then one last thriller on my list, I have The Intern by Michelle Campbell. I recently got this as my book of the month, and this is about a girl who is an intern for like a judge in her wherever she lives, but then the intern's brother like starts to question whether or not the judge is corrupt, and then her brother goes missing. So could be good. Okay, let's move on to the fantasies on my list. Not fantasies, romances, and then we'll end with fantasy. I think this would be considered a taboo romance. It's Credence by Penelope Douglas. I picked this up last year. It's like taboo incestuous romance, which may not sound interesting to you, but I'm definitely intrigued. I feel like if I do not read this year, I'm not ever gonna get around to this. Because I feel like I've read one other book by Penelope Douglas, and it just was not a favorite of mine. So like, I've been a bit skeptical. I have Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood. I am really excited to read an Allie Hazelwood book. I do have, I think, Love on the Brain by her as well. Haven't read a book by her yet. This will likely be my first because I've heard, based on what people have said, this sounds like the one that I would enjoy the most. So I am hoping to get to that. I also have Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, this second book in the Knock 'Em Out series. I don't know if I'll get around to this because it's just such a chunky book, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I also have Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker. I am really interested to read a K.A. Tucker book. I believe this is a standalone, but I also have Simple Wild, which is a series that she writes, which I'm also interested in reading. So I would like to read one of her books. I just finished Love and Other Words, and for some reason this is giving me like Love and Other Word vibes. I don't know why, but I love that it's like it's like by a lake. I don't know, that's like giving me just like cozy feelings, and I'm really interested to read this. A part of me wants to just like start reading this today, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I pick this up. I also have All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I believe this is small town romance. Maybe Second Chance, I'm not sure. I've never read a Mariana Zapata book before, and I am really interested to. Hers are quite chunky as well though. Hers are quite chunky as well. But the person that's like in the picture here is wearing a beanie and a flannel. So this is also just giving me like those fall feelings. And so I hope to get to this one soon. And then finally I have Be Still My Heart by Emily McIntyre. I believe this is a romance with like a bit of a mystery to it. There was a corpse shows up in this water town, and then someone shows up to investigate, at the heart of which stands Lincoln Carter, a grumpy ex-SEAL whose lobstering business seems to attract more dead bodies than fish. When homicide expert detective Sloan is called in to assist the case, she begins digging up skeletons, ones that Lincoln would rather stay buried. I love Emily McIntyre, so this also kind of was giving me like feelings of, well, for some reason, maybe it's the lobstering business. It's kind of reminding me just of the setting of the Tessa Bailey book. Why I can see it. I can see the cover. I'll maybe post a picture over here. But this also was kind of giving me, maybe it was The Lighthouse that was described in this, that was reminding me of H.D. Carlton's Does It Hurt, which I loved that book when I read it last year. So we'll see if I get around to this one. The mystery aspect of this like really intrigues me, and I feel like it's a good time of year to be reading a mystery. So if you guys have read this one, I would love to know if you liked it or not. All right, I also have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Would you consider this like a cozy mystery? This is a series about younger, like high school age, like 17, 18-year-olds that have, I believe it follows 4 characters that have these like natural, like supernatural abilities, and they work for the FBI to help solve cases. I am really excited to read this just because I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing. It's super short chapters, really fast paced, and I love like a crime show, so I feel like I would really enjoy just like what the story is about as well. I mean, that's why we read books, because we like the story, right? But anyway, this one I am definitely hoping to get to very soon. Then I also have Dial A for Aunties, which I believe is like a cozy mystery. It is about a girl who accidentally kills her blind dates, and then I think her aunts have to show up and help her like figure that out, which just sounds like a funny time. It's giving me Finley Donovan vibes, which brings me to my final like cozy mystery. I have Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun, which is the 3rd book in the Finley Donovan series. If you are unfamiliar with the Finley Donovan series, it follows Finley, and essentially she somehow like gets accidentally wrapped up in the world of being like a hire for hit person, and it's just like this comedic great time. So I have read the first 2 books, and I am hoping to get to book 3 before the end of the year. All right, and then I believe the rest of the books on my list are all like magic fantasy sort of books. So I have 6 of Crows, which I have been meaning to read for over a year now. I am hoping to get to this, but I will not lie, this one also intimidates me just because I have heard Sarah Crowley say like the first 100 pages are like quite confusing, and it just makes me nervous to start this. but I also have Vicious by V.E. Schwab, which I am excited to read as well. This is about Victor and Eli, and they start out as college roommates, but eventually become rivals. I think because one is like good and one is bad, and it has to do with the magic system, something like that. I've heard nothing but great things about this book, so I'm definitely interested in that. And then also If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I believe maybe this isn't fantasy, I'm not sure. I think this is dark academia vibes, and everybody was talking about this last fall season, so it really made me want to read it, but I was intimidated by it because it wasn't a romance, and like my comfort zone is just happy romances. So this one is definitely on my list this year, now that I'm trying to like truly dabble in other genres. I will say I also have pre-ordered the last book in the Chestnut Spring series, so that will be on my TBR, and I almost 100% certainly will purchase that. Also book 2 in the Fourth Wing series. What was the other one that I recently pre-ordered? What was it? Oh man, this is really gonna bother me. Well, I'll post a picture of it right here. That will also be on my TBR. All right, you guys, I also have ACOTAR. Like, I need to just start the series. I really do. So I need to read this book before the end of the year. I won't say anything more about that. I also have the Rules of Magic, which I've owned for such a long time. I don't know if I'll get around to this. I feel like this book I've owned for so long that it's like, am I really even interested in reading this at this point? I don't know. But like, if it goes another year without being read, if I haven't read this one by the end of this year, I feel like truly this should be a book that I unhaul. It's set in the 1600s, and I believe it's like these girls are witches, but they have to like hide their powers. I'm not exactly sure. But it's a New York Times bestseller, like it's gotta be good, right? Maybe. I have Assistant to the Villain, which is a relatively new release. This is by Hannah Nicole Maher. It is about an assistant to the villain. I haven't heard great things about that one, so I'm a little bit hesitant to pick that one up, but I was so excited to read that. Then I also have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I want to pick this up and get to this very soon. I've heard that this is a great place to start when you are starting with fantasy, just because it's easy to digest and it's a really quick read. So I definitely want to get to this very soon. Okay, this next book is definitely a Sarah Caroli made me buy it. It is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. And Sarah said that if you're a fan of Fourth Wing, like you literally need to read this. She has done nothing but rave about this book for the last few uploads that I've seen her post. This is about a girl, I believe, that like doesn't have power, but she has to like pretend she has power. I really know nothing about this, other than dang, there's really small font in this, but I'm excited to read this one. I love the cover, it's very beautiful. All right, the next couple were recommendations from Rachel from Raven Hair's Reader. I talk about her all the time on my channel, but I have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, which I've heard is more of like a gothic vibe setting, and I think book 2 comes out really soon for this. I think this deals with magic, yeah, dark magic, and Rachel had great things to say about this, so I'm excited to get to that. I hope this one is an easy read for a like new to fantasy girly like me. And then I also have The Witch Collector by Carissa Weeks. Another recommendation that Rachel made. I believe in this one, it's like every year the Frost King comes to collect a witch. On collecting day, she means to exact murderous revenge, but a more sinister threat. But then there's a threat, I don't know, but I'm excited to read this. And actually, you guys, the next 3 are also recommendations from Rachel. Can you tell I like heavily leaned on her to like get myself into fantasy? So we have Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I am so excited to read this because Rachel was saying that the found family trope in this is just like, the found family in this is unlike anything she's read, like the best found family, which I love me a found family. So I'm definitely wanting to get to that soon. And then the last 2 that I got from her recommendations are both written by Carissa Broadbent. I have The Serpents and the Wings of Night. This is a vampire fantasy romance, I believe. And then I also have Daughter of No Worlds. So very excited for both of these. Let me know, which should I start first? I'm leaning on Daughter of No Worlds because I think I might end up liking The Serpent and the Wings of Night better. So I kind of want to like save the best series for last, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know which one you think I should start first. And then the last book on my fall TBR. I recently purchased this. I read this way back in the day and I want to pick this up again and read it now to see if I still, like, I remember just finishing this book and being overwhelmed with the feeling of like, oh my gosh, this was like the best book I ever read. But that was like 10 plus years ago. So I'm just curious, if I were to reread this again, what would I think of it? So this is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenson. And all I remember, literally all I remember about this book is like a circus pops up. And I think it's kind of dark, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be very wrong. But this is the final book on my fall TBR. I'm like literally out of breath. I'm going to put these all back on my cart. And let me know what you think I should, you know, dip my toes into first. Let me know if there's any other fall recommendations you guys have. But that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me as you always do. I appreciate you guys more than you know, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.